an organization that is in charge of Work Package 7, the communication and dissemination part of Trade for SD project, and I'm doing a series of podcast interviews with project partners. I have here Banse from Thünen Institute, and I would like to ask the first question from you, if you can introduce yourself and your organization and maybe shortly the role that you play in the project.
Yeah, so thank you very much for inviting me for this interview. My educational background, I'm a trained agriculture economist. So I studied agriculture economics at Göttingen University and also did my first steps into research at Göttingen Institute, especially with Stefan Tangermann, who is still, was the supervisor of my PhD work, of my PhD thesis. Now I'm working at the Thünen Institute, a federal research institute financed by the Federal Ministry on Agriculture and Food in Berlin, Germany. And our main topic is to provide scientific evidence, reports, studies to the German government, mainly to the Federal Ministry on Agriculture, but sometimes also to other ministries and other federal agencies. So, and I'm responsible within the Thünen Institute for the analysis of markets. So my official position is the director of the Thünen Institute of Market Analysis. So that means monitoring agriculture and food markets, looking at what's going on within agriculture in Germany, but also in the European Union, and then over the rim, so to say, of the EU, looking at the consequences of our activities in German and European agri-food sector and the consequences on third countries. So we ran studies in Ghana, in Senegal, where we try to understand what our exports does to these countries. So what are the consequences if Germany exports poultry meat to Ghana? Will it hurt Ghanaian farmers, for instance? So from that part of this point of view, so our trade analysis, also based on modeling, is a key element in the work of our institute.
This project, we talked earlier yesterday after the steering committee meeting, and my understanding was that you have a certain time allocated for international projects. This project is an EU project funded through the Horizon 2020 program. What do you actually do here? What's the role of the Thünen Institute with Trade for SD?
Yeah, so within Trade for SD, the Thünen Institute is responsible for the Work Package 3. That means we have, with other colleagues from Poland, from Italy, especially from the FAO, and from Hungary, the responsibility to coordinate and to manage the different agriculture and food models that allow us to see the consequences of different policy measures targeted to the three pillars of sustainability, so to say the economic part, the environmental part, and the social part. So it requires, there's no one big model that allows us to run all scenarios, all analysis, and we are interested in the trade-offs. So if we push now, let's say, economic first, so to say, the one pillar on economics, so meaning income, market access, export volumes or import volumes, what does that mean to the environmental part and to the social part? So therefore we would like to use our models to see possible trade-offs between different measures that pushes a single part. It could also be the social element, but social elements without economic elements does not really make sense. Therefore maybe the ultimate target of our work in Work Package 3 is that we contribute to the overall Trade for SD project in the sense that we can measure or estimate, provide an analysis about the trade-offs between different policy packages to enhance sustainability in agri-food trade.
In terms of the Trade for SD project, you were involved already in the design of the project, and that happened 3 or even more years ago, because the project started 2 years ago. Since then we had some externalities, so to say, like the COVID, the war in Ukraine. Has these externalities, these unforeseen circumstances, had an impact on the project? And is there anything that would make you design the project slightly different if you could do the redesign?
I think that COVID and the Ukrainian war gave us, sorry to say that, very important, or I would even say excellent examples about the vulnerability of infrastructure. So what happens if, under the circumstances of a war or the COVID, trade does not happen? So there is a breakdown in trade relationship and trade activities. So the vulnerability of harbors, so the openness of an economy towards international trade is something I would emphasize more if we would start again in redesigning a proposal for trade for SD, because the vulnerability of infrastructure in terms of the seaports and the domestic so the domestic infrastructure towards trade connections is something that became very obvious both under COVID and under the Ukrainian war, that this is an essential asset that should have been taken more into account under this project.
I promised them only 3 questions, but I have one bonus question, like in most of the people. You are involved in many research projects, but we are not doing research for the sake of research. We would like to have an impact. Would you have any recommendation how to increase the impact of our project? How we can actually reach the policymakers better? Do you have any idea, any recommendation that you would, because we still have 2 years in the project implementation?
So we are researchers. Researchers intend to not only talk like me very long sentences, but also write down very long reports. So what we should do is to condense our outcome and our messages to key messages, and then communicate that in the bigger cities, so to say, in the capitals, maybe of our partner countries, in Budapest, in Rome, in Berlin, in Paris, in Warsaw. So having this close connection to policymakers and let them know that they don't have to read 20 or 120 pages, but that they get a key message, understandably, well designed and short, to understand the key outcome of trade for SD. I know this is a big challenge, because the reputation of researchers is not increasing if you write down short reports, but long reports and articles in peer review journals. That's the main target of researchers. And if you now target policymakers, you cannot target them through peer-reviewed journal articles.
So in a way, translating our research outcomes into layman form, easily understandable, and then send to policymakers.
And I think what we plan, having a final meeting in Brussels, should completely look different than we have it now here in Rome, because we have long talks and long description how we manage to fulfill our duties with respect to deliverables, but in the end our deliverables does not match with our policy messages.
Thank you.
Thanks.